Alright, hello everybody. I haven't made one of these engines, or for that matter, whoever, to my private business owners, or just, I just want to show off. Um, so yeah, Sanguary, SanquiryTimeVoxel is gonna be a infinite open world, hopefully multiplayer, where you'll have chunks. Well, I guess I'll talk about that a little bit later, but futuristic. It kind of keeps to a cartoony style of graphics, Minecraft-ish. Well, I don't want to call anything Minecraft product placement. Um, it's gonna have a lot of more complicated combat mechanisms for a voxel game. I know there's a lot of voxel games that are using marching slopes or uh, basically weights. Well, you have marching slopes with weights applied to the vertices. So basically, just saying a procedurally generated world that we call voxels because you can have a procedurally generated world that's a terrain, but a terrain is flat and you can't cut a hole in a flat, if that makes any sense. Or else you break vertices and they don't do any, it just pinches the vertices and you don't break them. So voxels actually delete the vertices, and to simplify things in a procedural example, if I were to play a game where I had a whole generated planet and I could dig at these vertices and make a hole or a cave, it would be almost impossible to make a million vertices, so you have a basic block that is sloped over the amount of chunks, and each individual chunk has its randomly procedural noise to it using the simplex algorithm. Keep in mind, if anyone watches this, that it's really curious to come across. I did get a lot of my tutoring from Alex Stevens, and I highly suggest anyone reading into it. It is a very good tutorial, and if not, you haven't run in with the procedurally generated terrain, then uh, it'll brush you up. Uh, what did I want to say before I went brain dead? It'll brush you up back onto what mesh generation is like, and it's not that complicated as it seems. The only complicated thing is to the procedural generation wasn't the thing I ran into. It was more of the adaptation to gravity, liquids, especially that being because if we have, let's say, 10 ponds in a 200 feet square area, it's a weird um, uh, measuring, I guess, or whatever. But if you have like 4 ponds and 10 chunks, or for example, and my chunks in this are 16 by 16, if I remember correctly, which can be all adjusted. But anyway, everything I coded this with should, well, besides all these post-process effects that I haven't, I know it just looks horrible when you look at it, which is okay. So if you look at everything, everything is pretty, uh, it's pretty readable to a gameplay editor. Everything has its appropriate headers. Everything has its appropriate organization to make it easier. So, just to making a pickaxe or another weapon, for example, you can just come over here and say close quarter, what kind of type of weapon, and then, it has more sub-properties in the gun specification, etc., etc. Some pretty simple stuff. I'm having a lag issue. Um, some reason we froze. Wouldn't that be lovely? Wouldn't that be the loveliest thing? Okay, sorry. For some reason, something I have a major update on my video game, so it's having its heyday. Also, I have an inventory system. I don't have a crafting system, but that's gonna be easier than said than done. Um, the gun mechanism's already done. The movement mechanism's already done. The animation system is semi-what done. Uh, the things there's a few steps in each part that I'm gonna need to be getting to, and that is sorry, just sitting here making you look at this ball with an axe. Is I've already got a major set of animations done for spear, for the guns, for even though that they're simple. Um, the character design, and all that. But I already do have biomes, and I'll preview that in a second. There is, in that biome, you can switch. That's another thing is I need to open up the variables for each biome or do something on the matter of using some kind of different method where I can just plop a editor script in and all that stuff. Now that I know how to do that, I know. But anyway, the difficult thing is going to be the cities because it's going to be a futuristic game, and also I have the monsters to do, the mobs, the AI, but now with Unity 5.61, it has a dynamic nav mesh building, blah blah blah, that is blah blah blah. So it's so blah blah blah. Which is good. And they also have a bunch of procedural stuff that they're adding instead of just instantiating meshes, which I would have had and which I could have used a long time ago. However, I just basically built a custom mesh thing myself. All right, and in basic terms that I know how to run on. So let's just go ahead and hit the play button. I'm playing from the editor, so if you don't mind a few frame drops here, you can see the frames on the left. It runs a little bit better normally when you have the executable. So you can move around, you can block. There's nothing to block against. Um, you'll be blocking and the guy will hit you. If you guys ever played Skyrim or Oblivion and stuff like that, it'll be pretty similar in regard. Um, you can see that the terrain is absolutely infinite, and there are some, cool things like you can see the grass kind of sways in the wind, and the foliage, the flowers, and you can see the water is actually moving, gathering, and it adds to each other. You can dig, of course, and you got little procedurally generated cubes, and you got major lag for odd reasons. Lovely, lovely show. Sorry, something's running in the background, so it normally doesn't run like this, I'm gonna have to admit. It would have been a better preview, but... So you can dig your life away. I kind of have a low damage on this bronze pickaxe at the moment. And you can dig underneath, if I can get to it. As you can see, as soon as I dig, there's a few little minor errors where you can see the vertices pop on the water and stuff like that, but um, wow, I'm getting such lag, it's not even funny. Sorry about the lag, but you can at least get the gist of it. We're digging a hole, we're digging a hole, we're digging a hole to China. I've already done all the graphics myself, all the art. I feel pretty cool about myself, and you see the little jello go away. Anyway, and it uses a pretty cool little algorithm. It uses just like everything's generated procedurally using the simple X algorithm is the way I went with most of it. All the you can see all the foliage uses simple X and brush sizing and randomness to the occurrence and etc. There's caves, there's little pebbles, and uh, yeah, it's kind of fun. And you also have your inventory. It's real basic. Of course, it's not polished. You have your basic list of items, your grass, you have your description, the amount of uh, what crafting minerals it gives you, pebble, dirt, you can drop it, etc. It's all good and ready to go. Anyway, you gotta love the lag. So, sorry guys, I apologize. So we're gonna get over to, there's another water basin. You can see how it kind of just randomizes the rock, dirt, and all that. And soon enough, you'll see another biome come out, and that's kind of what I'm getting to, so you can see a little bit more of the gravity take effect. It is lagging though, but you can see that the terrain is infinite in its purpose, and it's running actually pretty good, considering for some reason I have something running in the background, and I have quite a bit of water holes if you can see them from the scene view, but you can see this is the pretty much the size of the level I've already generated. It also basically, as you go, it generates each little individual chunk, randomizes it, and kind of smooths it out based on the actual biome itself. So you know, I could have had more mountains if I would like to, and you can see there's caves and nesting and stuff like that. So um, I would love to have it show you, but after a while it'll start to deteriorate from the back, actually destroy the chunks behind me when I get in a certain distance. And then once it destroys the chunks, it is constantly serializing each chunk into its own position, and then serializes all the block data. So every time you destroy a block, it actually is serializing constantly. So everything's being dynamically changed and all that. So when you go back to the same chunk, it's not just a completely random chunk. Let's go ahead and maximize that. Lovely, lovely lag though we're getting. It really runs under like 42 frames, and once you build it, it runs like it's 60. The only thing that I couldn't really get a grasp of is doing the flood fill algorithm. And I'm still debating whether I want to do that because the directional light works pretty well in itself. However, you have Jesus! Stop with the lag! You have every time I talk, I think it freezes. Like, shut up. Just let me get to the point. So, we're trying to walk ourselves to a different biome. So it didn't lag so bad here. So, again, I apologize. Yeah. And then, of course, you're going to be able to change on your distance settings and depending on your own leisure. There goes the water going crazy. It's so fun. Woo! Crazy water. Wahoo! I'm trying to get to a forest biome. It should be getting there. It's just not liking me at the moment. Actually, it's having a hard time generating past what my computer's running. It's not really great. So obviously I need to optimize a few more things, but it's okay. Alright, finally the forest biome. So you can see I have my cute little trees and they're swaying in the wind. It's all fun. And you can see that there's a little bit more things to the vertexes and a little bit more custom kind of features, even though it shouldn't be spewing out rocks. So yeah, you can dig at the trees And of course, I haven't added as much as I want to for the special effects, but I'm not really trying to get to that. Oh, whoa, it got mad. It's getting mad at me for some reason. You can see all the wonderful trees, and there's millions. There's probably, uh, let's see what we're at. I'm trying to cut down on the vertices, but it's a pretty big infinite terrain. As you can see, my CPU main is running a little high, and it shouldn't be doing that. But you can see we're running 2.2 million vertices, and we're not doing too bad. Um, which I want to cut down on a little bit. It does use an octree system, so if you look at the way, if I can get to there, I'm going to zoom in on my player, hopefully without it freezing. You can see it dissects into its chunks. It doesn't actually have a square chunk. In my older voxel engine, it used just basically a block of chunks, which works fine. However, if I click on the trees, and for example, you can see that it's cutting off some of this tree, so it has a way of dissecting the octree. I call it a octrees uh, because instead of it just generating the chunk, it generates everything in columns and rows. I can do this different, like for example with the trees, I'm still debating whether I want to generate the tree entirely in its own chunk or its own object, because the less we limit on the objects, the better in some sense. I don't know, that's a long explanation, but you can see I can just go around. There's just trees, there's a cave over here. There's no ores in this one, but there are coal and ore and stuff like that, so coals at the very least. Um, yeah, so you can see how massive, though, that the level actually is becoming. And hopefully, if I can just keep moving, you can see the chunks. It's foggy. Oh jeez, I fell down a hole. Maybe we're dead. We're done for, mate. We're dead. We're dead, mate. Alright. Yeah, you can see, you can quickly notice over here in this corner where my cursor is, you can see it's actually getting rid of some chunks. I think I'm going to limit that a little bit though. I don't need to see that far, so that might be a new issue that I try to implement. Because it's taken quite a jump, giving me some strange build errors that I'm not liking, that are new because I just updated my version. But yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. You can see there's a few little things, like I didn't march the cubes for the water, so it does kind of look funny because I wanted to get rid of the faces that don't really need to belong to the camera yet. Um, I do like how I did the water though. It's pretty smooth. It runs pretty quick. For an infinite terrain, I would say it's doing pretty well for it. So I should have beefed up the damage so you guys can see better. I'm kind of looking at this teeny view. Anyway, I mean, basically the main core framework of the game, needless to say a few bugs, is done. Um, so all the hard stuff's out of the way. You can see all the batching of the leaves, and it's pretty fun. So, the next step is to make the forest biomes. Again, the cities are going to be very complicated. I'm going to have NPCs actually go around and do work, and it is going to be a futuristic thing. So this is just kind of like the outer plains, before you hit some cities and all that crap. So certain areas and all that. I don't really have a storyline. I just kind of had an idea for another game, and then I just started getting too crazy with this one. And I was like, well, now that I know how to do all this procedural mesh, and my brain just started wanting to do a whole complete different game. So that's how it always happens, I guess. I just had too much fun with the graphics and all the new little mesh techniques that I haven't used. Alright. Well, anyway, I had enough with this thing. We're back in the grassy plains away from that dark evil forest over there. So, hope to see you guys again. Hopefully I didn't ramble on too much. I was trying to, oh, the forest is still over there. Yeah, I'll have some more pretty flowers and other things of that nature and all that goody good stuff. And I'll be implementing some of my new weapons. Give you a quick look at what it's going to be, the combat system. I'll show you the sword here. Maybe a gun or something. I'm just kind of just chilling, having fun with this game. Wow. Whatever is running is like pooping my computer to death. It's like, so yeah, I mean, you can go back and just erase the world data from the editor, all that kind of stuff. So it does make it easier for people to come in and do graphic editing and item adding, and it'll be a little bit more and more I get on it, the better and better it'll get. Also, the animation system's pretty simple. You just gotta go into the, if you're an animator, you just basically replace the weapons, um, and then you're good to go. So everything's just I try to keep everything pretty simple because there's gonna be, a shit ton of items for the game. Because we're not dealing with just melee weapons and shovels and tools and gardening things. You think like Starbound, but with the whole combat system, it's gonna be its own little deal. So he's blocking, and one end you'll have maybe not a shield and not one, and etc. And I'm not the best animator, so you got your pickaxe. So just some work in progress stuff. That and, what is this? The shovel? Digging with a shovel. It's got little floating Rayman hands. I did get kind of my concept of, like the style of arms and stuff from Stonehearth. I'm not gonna lie, if it kind of comes across its own way. Again, I'm not the best animator. Yeah, so hopefully we'll have more weapons and actually add these into the game, and that one looks pretty choppy. Um, but pretty fun stuff for a short amount of time. So fun with math and all that. Bragging rights, no, not yet. There's plenty of procedural games out there that are beautiful that I've been looking at. I haven't been back into the internet for a while, so there's quite a competition. I wouldn't say competition, it's just more a fun game. It's just something relaxing to make. Um, and you can't go wrong with voxels, Somebody's going to either play it for whatever I decide that I'm gonna do with the game. Depends on how much content and how early, um, how much you want to pay. Give me your money, suck up. Exactly. Yeah. All right, you guys have a good one. Hopefully you didn't hear too much of the TV. It's controversial. I might even just like bleep out my whole thing and call it copyright. Peace out, everybody.